at this here, again, I will go relatively quickly because it is review. I'm not teaching this whole thing, but some of it I agree is pretty hard. Let's start right at the top, which I think is this. Yeah, prime factorization is basically what? I don't know why people would miss this. Do you remember this? This is that tree thing. You could either do it by division by primes or tree thing. Usually people think about this. You just break this down into what times what gives you 80. All right, 2 times 40. You can stop with 2 because it's a prime number. It can't be split up. What times what gives you 40? Again, you could do 2, or you can do it really, that's prime. 4 times 5. 5 you can stop with, and 4 can be broken down into 2 times 2. The answer to this is all of those written out. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16 times 5. This is the prime factorization. The product of primes, the tree thing, whatever it is there. Yeah, stop. You don't want me to go over that again. What?
Could we just put 2 to the second?
Yeah, whatever. That's fine. If you want to use exponents, that's fine. 2 to the 5th power or 4th power times 5. You're okay with that. This one here, I realize you may or may not get. It's a little bit easier. Maybe you misunderstood the question. This says, at 20% off, the chair was $48. What was the original cost of the chair? Which means after the sale, it was $48. How much did it cost before it was marked down? If you don't get how to do that, the easiest way is simply to make, as we did back in 7th grade, your little percentage boxes. You have your original price, you subtract your discount, and you get your final price. You always start out being 100%. It went down 20%, so what you paid was 80%. Do you remember that vividly there? And then where does 48 go? 48 was your final price. You want to know what it started out being. So you really don't need the 20 very much just to get the 80. So if you rewrite this in fractional whatever, 100 over 80 equals what number over 48? Cut off the zeros there, 8 times 6, 10 times 6. $60 was your starting price. And I don't know where we went wrong on that, but to me that wasn't too bad. Maybe none of you, maybe all the only people that missed this were the people that are gone. This is all for nothing. This one! I can't tell you the number of people that got this wrong, and this is no more than adding and subtracting. How hard can this be? My suggestion for you on this is don't cut corners and actually write these out like this. This is a negative 2 times a negative 2. Negative 2 squared plus. Huh?
It's not hard.
It's right there, the little box.
This is a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2. And then that's minus a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2. And you just have to count the number of negatives. These all get separated by addition and subtraction signs. 2 negatives make this positive, which means it's a positive 4. 3 negatives make that negative. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so it's minus 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives means it's negative, odd number of negatives. 2, 4, 8, 16.
Isn't there only 4?
What?
Isn't there only 4?
A minus sign is a negative.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 and negative 16. Negative 20. And that's where most people go wrong. I don't know how they would. I'm not sure what people do. I don't know why we get this one wrong. Somebody tell me why so many people got this one wrong. I'm open for suggestions. A couple different ways to think about it, but let's do this one. How do you figure out how long this is? Subtract this piece from that piece. The sum of the whole, what is it, 25, 2.5? And how long is this? 1.8 plus 5.4 is 7.2. You're just going to add all those together. A quicker way to do it, anybody? You could just add this twice. Why? Because this is exactly the same as that. And you could just add this twice because that's the same thing as those two put together. So 2 of those and 2 of those will give you the same thing as if you add all those. I'm moving on because I don't want to insult your intelligence. This one, Mr. Triangular Prism. Somebody tell me how you would do that. You know, Lauren, sure, why not? But I don't, there's not choices, is there? Because choices are the worst thing in the world. How am I supposed to choose? We don't want a discussion about this.
Flip a coin. Flip a coin.
Ooh, chocolate or no chocolate? I think you gotta go chocolate. Is it your 14th birthday today? 13th?
No.
12? Thank you, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I was really hoping for some snickerdoodles.
Oh yeah, my mom burned them off.
Okay. Alright, back to this. What is the formula for volume? Somebody tell me. Of any, good, Brooklyn, you're looking at some sheets. I don't care if you have cheat sheets there. But I'll tell you what I'm gonna, what is it?
1/3 length of the campsite.
No, I don't even know this. 1/3 length times width times height.
1/3 base height.
What?
1/3 base height.
1/3. Where is third? Where do you keep getting thirds? This is not a pyramid. This is a rectangular prism. Pyramids, you're not cutting this in thirds. This is a solid, this is a prism. It's not a pyramid. You will not cut this in thirds. This is my loaf of bread theory. This is Keith. Yeah, this is volume equals big B, which is the area of the base, times the height. And the base is the shape of the piece of toast that you slice it in to put it in the toaster, which would be a triangle. This is the base. You find the area of this, set it on top of that thing, this is the height. The height has to be 15. And then you just find the area of this triangle, which should be pretty simple because the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. What is half of 50? 25. So the volume of that's going to be 25 times 15. This is not a pyramid. A pyramid comes to a point, like a pencil lead if it was three-dimensional. This doesn't come to a point. I guess it does, but it comes to an edge. You know, this would have to. So don't get that. Is that how many people got that? You thought it was a pyramid? Moving on. Oh, are you kidding me? Not back to linear equations. What is the equation of these lines? And we will go in slope-intercept form. First things, what's the generic form of slope-intercept? Y equals, anybody know? Mx plus b, where m is simply the slope and b is where it crosses the y-axis. Where does this one cross the y-axis? Right there at 3, thank you very much. What is the slope of this line? Well, I gave you the points you can make the triangle out of. It's right here. How high is that triangle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How wide is that triangle? 1, 2, 3. Positive slope or negative? Downhill is negative slope. There is the equation of that line. There you go, right? You would yell at me if I didn't, wouldn't you?
I would.
Oh, yeah.
What is the equation of the other one? I will give you 30 seconds or less to write it down. Everybody that gets it right can have one bite of this donut. A small bite, mind you. That's really not much motivation, is it? How about if I said everybody could just lick it?
That's kind of even worse.
I'll go on record again as saying we live in too sterile of an environment. You need to get out there and just eat stuff off the floor for a little bit.
I do.
Eat dirt.
I've done that so
When's
many
somebody had
times.
gut syrup?
That was disgusting.
One time I found something on the floor and gave it to you guys and ate it.
Gut syrup.
We do that a lot though.
Yeah.
I ate gut
Yeah.
syrup.
Yeah.
Hurry, we gotta get through this. This, where does this cross?
There,
What is its slope?
5/3.
Now you gotta make sure it's the up number, it's 5 up, 3 over, and it's positive slope. This one, I can't believe people got this wrong. First thing you have to understand in a triangle is how many degrees? Triangles are 180 degrees. You know this is 90 degrees because that little square gives you that. It tells you measure of angle x. This is 160 degrees. So how in the world am I going to find what this is? By the way, this is not two parallel lines cut by a transversal. You can't say that that and that are the same. You need to figure out what this angle is. How big is this angle? Laney Kavar? Knowing that this angle and this angle are what we call supplementary, which means they form a straight line, this angle has to be 20 degrees. Which means this angle here has to be, in order to get my 180 degrees in here, 90 degrees plus another 90 degrees, this would have to be 70. And since these are supplementary and form a straight line, this one has to be 110 degrees. That should be relatively common sense. Oh, the length of that arc. How could you miss this? What formula do you need to know to find the length of an arc? Its length, it is
Pi times diameter divided by 2.
circumference of the circle, pi times diameter, but it is only half of that circle, so you cut it in half. Diameter is 40. Cut the diameter in half, it's 20. Pi is, you can either leave it as 20 pi, or if they ask you to multiply by 3.14, you get something. 62.8. Speed, because I know you won't have a chance at this. How many more could I possibly have? Oh, this one? How did we get this wrong? Grace, how did you get this wrong?
I don't know.
Well, which one, how did you write that out? What's the division problem there?
The box, the
What goes under the box? Huh? This divided by that, 0.14 divided by 70. Do I have to move the decimal out of this one? No, there is no decimal, so don't move decimals if you don't need to. Decimal goes straight up, 70 doesn't go into 1, 70 doesn't go into 14, I add a 0, how many times does 70 go into 140? 2. Jamil Shamazo Hassan Pepper Incorporated. I hate to do this one, but you should know. We did top interest. Formula for interest is PRT. And T is always 1, so for right now. But the problem with this is it's compounded annually, which means what? After you get the first year's interest, you have to add it back onto the principal to find the next year's interest. So the first year's interest, my principal, which is $8,000, I am going to multiply it by 10%, which is 0.1. And the time is 1 year, so it's all a bunch of ones. What is the interest the first year? Anybody? 0.1 times 8,000? Please tell me somebody can do that besides Elijah. Let's move the decimal back one place. It is year number 1. You make $800 in interest. Year number 2 is not $800. It would if it was simple interest, because then you just get $800 every year. If it's compounded annually, you have to take that $800, add it back to your $8,000, and then you have to do this all over again to find the interest for the second year. If I multiply that by 0.1, how many dollars of interest? Huh? Stop, Elijah. You're bragging now. Year number 2, you get $880 in interest. So that's a total interest of $1,680. But that's not how much money you have in the bank. How could you end up with less than you started with? How much money do you have in the bank now? Jade, shoot. 9,685. Here's a question to see if you're ever listening in our thing. If you make 10% interest, how long will it take you to make $16,000? About. This is the rough estimate that people in the financial world will tell you. Anybody remember how to figure that out? Oh man, I am such a failure. It's called the rule of 72.
72.
No. What times 10 will give you 72 or close to it? 7. You will double your money in about 7 years. In 7 years, at compounded interest, in 7 years, you'll end up with $16,000 in the bank. If you can get 10% every year. 10% is pretty high. Nobody cares. Bill Zeke, will you come teach this one? This one. This one.
Bilsy, that's like that guy.
What's the easiest way to do this one? Somebody? I don't know if you multiplied all that out, but I certainly wouldn't. 2 ways I would think about it. Probably the 2 to the 4th power means you have 4 2's times themselves. 2 to the 6th power means you have another 6 of them. For a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 to the 3rd means you have 3 of them. What's going to happen? Cross off, cross off, cross off. You're left with 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 120. You multiply it all out. Or 2 to whatever power that would be. It must be 2 to the 7th power. Then you'll make a good math. This one nobody can figure out, and I don't get why. Bob averaged 80% on his first 6 quizzes. He averaged 90 on his last 4 quizzes. What's going to be his average for the class? Can you do that mentally? Is your answer going to be 85? Elijah? No. Why? Because you have more 80s than you have 90s. If you had the exact same number of 80s and 90s, you could cut them in half and that'd be fine. This is average of averages. You have 6 80s. That's how you average 80 on 6 quizzes. Right? No, I don't have 88s. Here you have 4 90s. How do I find the average of all that?
So 4, 5 minutes.
It's not 5. 1, 2, 3,
No,
4.
no, there's 5, there's
This was supposed to be 6.
Oh.
I goofed up, that's why I wrote over. To find the overall average, you have to add all of these and divide by how many there are. Well, I made it easy for you because there's 10 of them. Adding it all together, what's this? 6 times 80 is 480. Plus another 360. 0, 4, 1, 7, 8. 840 divided by 10, tell me you can do that in your head. Yeah. Your average for this will be 84. Why? Because you have more 80s than you have 90s. Oh, time is slipping away. Ooh, the small one here. Again, when you see something like this, you have to break it apart. This is one part because of the subtraction sign that's not in your parentheses. This is one part. A -6 you can't do anything with. How many negatives, Kate?
3,
So it means my answer is going to be for that part.
negative
4 times 8, 7.
28,
And what do I get if I put a, and this is now addition, this is not multiplication. That you don't count negatives here and say this is going to be positive. This is, you have 6 negatives. Here you have 28 of them. How many total negatives do you have? 34.
34.
That's it, because I think this is what we did today, isn't it? Congratulations, kids. Now for the, let's see if this makes any difference in
We should say